great beer, Eagle Brewery.
All right, so we're here with Pablo Castillo.
What's up, y'all?
All right, man. So tell us a little about yourself, man.
Let's see. I am 29 years old. I was pretty much raised in LA all my life. I'm actually about to move pretty soon. I'm going to be leaving to Portland in about 2 weeks. So,
Nice.
yeah, I used to live there for about 2 years. So I'm going to take a quick break while this whole pandemic thing is happening, you know. So I think I'm going to go focus on my fitness out there, enjoy the Pacific Northwest, getting some, fresh water, and just kind of get away from the madness that is LA and all the shutdowns and all that. But let's see. 29, I used to be in cooking. I was a chef for about 10 years, worked all sorts of kitchens, actually even ran my own company. I had a meal prep company for about 2 years called Fire Grub. I just recently stopped doing that. And then I was cooking privately for a few months this year. And just as of, no joke, a month ago, I'm kind of done with cooking, at least for the time being.
Yeah.
And I got into Pokemon. Kind of random and kind of not random. I've been a fan of Pokemon ever since I was a kid. It's one of those things where, and I have a very similar story to a lot of people right now, is COVID happened, people don't have things to do.
Right.
And so I dug out my old collection, and I was already kind of collecting in 2015, but I stopped, after 6 months. And then I went inside the rabbit hole that is the Pokemon world. And here I am, let's see, almost 4 months later, 5 months later, and I really believe it's going to be a viable business for me. It's going to be the way that I can kind of work for myself and have freedom and just do it from anywhere. Because
Yeah, man. But yeah, like you said, keep on working it. And as we see so many people, as long as you're enthusiastic about what you're doing, you're always, just with patience, with time,
yeah,
you're going to have people following. And people just gravitate towards that,
Yeah, 100%.
When people see that you're very enthusiastic about something, they'll be like, oh, all right, this guy cares about it. And it's not just for the money. He actually cares about what he's doing. His passion, right? And people love that. They love seeing that genuine, oh, this guy cares. So I want to learn about it. If he's educated, maybe he can teach me a couple things. That's why I reached out to you, man. Because I don't know. It's been, man. Pokemon was been 20 years maybe already for
It's been out for about 20 years, 22 years, yeah.
Yeah, man, and it's just changed so much. And I was like, oh, I gotta talk to this guy because there's been so many generations already, and then it's mind blowing. I had all these cards, I had thousands of cards when I was a kid, and I just threw them in the trash. Nobody thought they were gonna be worth something, or at least when you're not educated about that type of stuff, collectibles.
Only a few people have the foresight. There's a popular clip that went around. It's kind of still goes around. I don't know if you ever watched the show Pawn Stars. Yeah. There's this this older guy with glasses that comes in with just a gang of Charizards. So anyway, his Instagram name is actually Gary from Pawn Stars. Okay. And this guy had the foresight back in 99, 98, whenever all these sets started coming out, to just buy and collect. At first it was, just kind of, maybe I think it seemed like it was a bit of a business move, but then he also loved Pokemon. He started loving it, then he, collected with his kids. And here he is, 20 years later, and I would say he has one of the greatest collections in the world. Right. And it's pretty nuts, man. Some people have the foresight to collect and see hey, there is a future in Pokemon because it is a worldwide brand. Right. And I think that especially after Pokemon Go came out, that was revolutionary for Pokemon in my opinion, because for a long time it was oh, Pokemon, that's what kids do or nerds do, whatever. Right. But if you remember when Pokemon Go came out, was it 3 years ago, 2 years? No, actually it was probably 4 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
I think it was 2016, man. Everybody and their mama was playing Pokemon Go. That August, I believe 2016, everyone was playing.
I'm just wondering how many accidents must have been caused, because I remember even driving myself.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
bro,
you never know what you're gonna catch.
I actually have a very funny story. At the time I was living in Portland, Oregon, and Portland, they have a really serious homeless problem, you know. And so I was downtown by Portland State University, PSU, which is the campus is downtown. It's weird. It's kind of integrated. So you, out of nowhere, you'd be like, oh, I guess this is the campus kind of vibes. And I had my headphones on, and I was just, listening to music, catching Pokemon, doing the Pokemon Go thing. And a song skips, and then there's a little bit of silence, and then the next song starts. I just heard some yelling, so I was like, what the hell? So I take off my earphones, and then I kind of realize, yo, I'm in one of the sketchiest part of Portland. Honestly, vulnerable, because I have my earphones on, so I can't hear anyone coming up to me or anything like that. And I just kind of had that moment where I was like, oh man, I should probably be a little bit more mindful of how I do it.
Right.
But yeah, man, people, after Pokemon Go became like worldwide, and it wasn't just for kids. I mean, everybody, even people that don't even know about Pokemon, were like, "Let me just start catching Pokemon." I think that was one of the big turning points because it became mainstream.
Right.
And then you had Detective Pikachu that kind of blended the cartoon world of it, version of it, with like real life. I don't know if you watched Detective Pikachu.
I didn't watch it. I wanted to, but like I haven't gotten to it.
It's unreal, man. It's I remember when I watched it, I like no joke, I had like a small tear, like because watching like the main character, I forget what his name is, but watching the main character go into the city, like the main city that the story's part takes place in, and this Pokemon is like part of life, right? And it's just something that I think the kid inside of me was like, oh man, I wish this was real. This was the only time I think I've ever felt like I wish Pokemon was real. Maybe as a kid I thought that, I don't know, but as an adult, definitely not. And it was but yeah, man, with with Pokemon Go, Detective Pikachu, like, and then the pandemic, I know it's like an awful thing to happen, but like a lot of people got back into the hobby and it just boomed. And everybody always talks about on Reddit, on Facebook groups, how like the price change, the price change even from like 6 months ago. Like there are cards that like went up. We're talking 300, 400, 500%, which is nuts if you think about it. But yeah, man.
Talking about the price, I wonder if that has anything to do with the stimulus check, because so many people are overpaying for stuff, but just because of that, it's like we have free money.
Dude, I 100% believe that is a huge part.
Yeah.
Because and I'm not the only person that feels that way. Because out of nowhere, like you said, there are people that are getting $200, $300, $400 from the state, and then you have another $600 coming from the federal government. So people that were possibly making I don't know, like $300, $400, $500, $600 a week are now making almost double that.
Right.
And I gotta assume that it's and bills haven't really changed, so I have to assume that a good part of that boom, a good part of that is because of the stimulus checks and the extra unemployment and all that stuff. And I was just thinking about this too, like maybe if you live like in LA or New York, the extra 600 is helpful, but you're not balling with that, right?
Right.
But like let's say you went in unemployment somewhere that's cheaper to live, like in Wyoming or Nebraska or something like that, where you're used to getting paid, $9 an hour, $10 an hour. Now we're talking like people's salaries are doubling.
Yeah.
So
it's a big difference.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just something I kind of thought about. I was like, I wonder if maybe they should have allocated money depending on cost of living. I think maybe that should have had something to do with it, in my opinion. But I mean, I don't know. It's a very tough subject, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I guess it also goes like I said, every state, every county is handling different. For example, LA had suspended, I think, rent for a couple of months. I think it's just expiring.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be, and then the whole 600 thing just ended as well. So
yeah, that was end of July, right?
Yeah, end of July, I believe. Yeah. So I think there's gonna be that probably more evictions or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's gonna get crazy. It's definitely gonna get crazy.
I do wonder because I believe August 7th is like kind of the last day where they have, because they're meeting to see what's gonna happen next, and I believe they go on recess for another month after that, if I'm not mistaken. So I am curious to see what's gonna happen if, how much money, if there's still gonna be extra help, and people are throwing around all sorts of numbers from what I was reading. I guess the Republican side wants to do an extra $200 a month on top of whatever your unemployment is, which I think is fair. Like honestly, like $600 extra that's $2,400 a month. That is a lot of money extra, and I get it. Some people maybe they need it and it's helped them a lot. And at the end of the day, we all pay into unemployment, so it's like it's not like we're just getting free money. Like the government's giving us free money. People always forget like our taxes is what gives the government money, and now we're getting a little bit of that back.
Right.
So yeah, so I do wonder like what's gonna happen now, and I think they have till the 7th to kind of figure something out, or else, and they're gonna go on a break for a month.
Yeah, and I think it also opened up a lot of people's eyes. Like, hey, we could have been taking care of things so much long time ago. Yeah. I mean, if you're giving 600 a week to people, like we could have done something similar, maybe at a smaller scale, but still, we could have been putting that money, those resources into the community. Yeah. But I mean, this is it's tough times, but there's a lot of great opportunity in these times. And like for me, example, this when this whole pandemic happened, and I kept my job, I still have full time, but I was seeing other people, they're getting laid off or temporary laid off, and they're still getting 600 a week, and I was like, damn, like they're getting free money, man.
Yeah.
And it made me think, like, I'm working, and nobody's gonna take care of you, man. Nobody but yourself. Like, you might get lucky, catch a break. Sometimes the government might help you out, but that's not for everybody. There's people still, like we said, they might have a full-time job. Maybe they're getting paid the minimum, so they're getting even less than the people who are unemployed. So, this whole pandemic for me, it made me realize, like, I gotta do something. I gotta change my life. That's why I started this whole podcast. I was like, nobody's gonna take care of me. Only I gotta, and then nobody's gonna give you an opportunity. You gotta seek that opportunity.
100%.
Get it.
Yeah.
And there's this saying, the what is it? The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Right? Or the early bird gets the worm. So it's the same thing. And I don't know if you're into listening to like motivational speakers or just people that are infinitely more successful than we are at the moment, at least. And everybody kind of says the same thing in a lot of different ways. And it's got, something's got to give, I think. And one of the main things, it's, you got to take control of your own destiny. Exactly. 100%. Like, I got a little bit of flack from my mom specifically about this whole like Pokemon thing. Because to her, it's like, I'm playing with cards. But it's like, Mom, like, I see the business side of it. And we can talk about like why I think it's going to be good for me. But it's one of those things where I know that this is a great I can make it with this. I just know it, and I have this can-do attitude, and there's no one that's going to tell me otherwise.
Right.
And, and you're always going to get people that are going to doubt you. They're going to think that's weird. I'm sure if I talk to girls, they're going to be like, well, you do what? All those little things, but like none of this is going to deter me from achieving what I want to achieve. And I know that because it's something that I'm passionate about and something that I love doing, and I have Pokemon cards in front of me, like, morning till night, bro. Like, and it's not, and I'm not just like, looking at cards. Like, no, I'm like organizing. I'm looking on OfferUp. I'm looking in Pokemon groups. I'm on eBay. I'm running, so it's like it kind of feels like, like a full-time job, but I love it. Right. I love doing it. I'll be up doing it till 2 a.m. and I'm putting myself in a situation where what I really know that I really believe that I'm going to like do good with this. And I'm not saying this is going to be my full-time job forever or something like that, but this is going to be a viable, at least, side hustle.
Right.
And if there's anything I learned, from running a meal prep company, is that working for yourself, the work you put in, like, you will see the benefits of that a lot faster and a lot more apparent than if you work for a company. Like, here's the thing, and I know there are plenty of companies that appreciate their employees, that they incentivize them, and they maybe even like pay them correctly. But the joy you get from starting something from nothing and then watching it grow, and then knowing that the more work you put in, the more successful it will be, even with setbacks. There's something very powerful about that, and I think that a lot of people just don't have. They just will never really, unfortunately, seek that. And I think,
even going through the failure itself, like, because you don't have that doubt, like, man, I could have tried.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember I was really into stocks for a bit, and the economy was crashing, or temporary crashing, whatever, with the whole pandemic, and I sold my Tesla stock because I had a fear. And now it's
I heard it's boomed.
Yeah, it's boomed. It's
boomed big time, right?
At 1,500, I believe, and I sold at 600. I mean, I still made profit, but still, it's like, man, I missed out on all that.
Yeah.
Because of that fear, but but I don't have that my mentality is like, okay, well, at least I tried it, rather than being like, man, I just missed out on all this money.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
So you just got to go for it, and like, you're gonna fail along the way, and that's the whole point. The process. Yeah. You're gonna learn. You're gonna fail. You're gonna fail. You're gonna fail. You're gonna learn. And fail. It's just a process, and that's the only way to go about it. Same thing. I still have the catering company. I do catering on the side as well, and I had my most successful year last year. Nice. So I've been doing it maybe like 3 years already. Yeah, 3 years, and I had my most successful last year.
Congrats.
Thank you. And but yeah, the whole pandemic, stopped the plans, but we're gonna get going again next year, and it's like you said, it's just the defeat is only like temporary, and it only becomes defeat once you accept it, man. Like, everybody has setbacks. Everybody's gonna
100%. Like, being afraid of setbacks, being afraid of bumps on the road is just ridiculous, because the most successful people you've ever met, have gone through probably even more setbacks than people that don't get to that level will ever go through. You know, it just like I just watched The Last Dance. Like I'm late. You know, I was the last person. Sorry if I keep reaching down. It's the mosquitoes I think are getting me. You know, but I watched The Last Dance, and it was one of the most powerful documentaries I've ever seen. Because, you know, you always hear about Michael Jordan being the greatest, Michael Jordan being the greatest. But truth be told, like, we were kids. Like, we were literally little kids that don't really understand, like, just the level and, you know, of where Jordan was. Right. And this I don't know if you watched it, but this documentary really, like, painted the picture of, like, oh, no, this guy was a global superstar. He absolutely changed the game. So even when you talk like Kobe and, you know, rest in peace, and Michael Jordan, like looking at, you know, after looking at this documentary, it's like Kobe got to his level because of the doors that opened, because Jordan just blew past the limits. Right. You know, he opened the, you know, he opened the door 100%. He set the blueprint. And, you know, and that goes for like pretty much any player, you know, but I'm sure, you know, as time goes on, we're going to see like your next Michael Jordan. I mean, LeBron's changed the game in his own way, right? I hate doing that comparison just because, like, appreciate both. How about that? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, getting back to it, it was like Jordan didn't win. You know, it wasn't like, oh, let me just win 6 titles and that's it. No. There was huge setback back, you know, especially in the beginning of, you know, in the beginning of his career when he had to deal with the Knicks, he deal with the Pistons. Like, man, and it just goes on, and it's just like that guy probably had more setbacks than most people, but he still just he would just relentless. He wanted to win. And I think that mentality is so contagious, man. Yeah. After I watched it, I remember I would like go on runs, or I would like just like, you know, just kind of put in work in one way or another, whether it's, you know, this Pokemon thing or fitness, because it's like, man, like I'm so inspired by him, you know. Right. And yeah, man, I don't know. I just think you have to have that can-do attitude. Like you just have to believe that you're not gonna sink. Right. You know, you're gonna swim. You have to believe that.
Definitely. For me, like yeah, like, you know, we kind of missed out on that Jordan era. We caught the end of it, you know. The Wizards, part. But, you know, like you said, luckily we had Kobe. And, yeah, I just remember when he passed away, it was, I was able to revisit all of his old, like, you know, games, his his words of inspiration, things like that. And, growing up as a kid, I hated the Lakers. Like, Allen Iverson was my favorite, Reggie Miller. And back-to-back, Kobe and the Lakers, they eliminated my teams, you know? They won the trophy, and I remember when Kobe's last game when he dropped 60, it was like amazing. I was like, man, like I hated it. This was so weird. I came to this realization at the end. I was like, I hated this man all my life for 20 years. His career, I hated this guy, and here I am. Like, man, I missed out. Like, if I just would have rooted for him, I would have been basking in all this glory, man. Like instead of just hating, I could have just been.
It was undeniable. Look, I'm in the same boat. So I used to be a Clipper fan. I mean, I just stopped watching basketball altogether the last like 4 or 5 years. But, you know, pretty much growing up, I used to be a Clipper fan because, like, when there was a rec center in Echo Park that used to take us to games, and we would only be able to go to live games to Clipper games because Laker games were way too expensive. Yeah. So I naturally became a Clipper fan. We're talking like Elton Brand, Sam Cassell, those guys. Where was I going with this? And, yeah, so, you know, and Laker fans just in my face all the time. Like, you know, oh, Lakers, like, you know, we won 3, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, or like Kobe and Shaq, the Clippers suck. And I kind of grew that same disdain for the Lakers. Right. And it went all the way through high school. And then I don't know if you remember this, I believe it was like 2008, 2009. Kobe had four back-to-back 50-plus point games. Yeah. And I remember after that third one, I was rooting for him to, like, I was like, I wanted him to keep going so bad, right? And I just kind of realized, like, I don't hate the Lakers and I don't hate Kobe. I hate the dumb fans that made me hate them, right? And kind of maybe a little bit of envy. Because the Clippers, you know, even to this point, haven't really won much, you know, anything significant. But I remember thinking even then, it's like, this guy is one of the greats of all time. And I can be a hater, or I can honestly just appreciate him for being the player that he is. And, you know, and Kobe's the closest thing our generation had to Jordan in his prime. Because Kobe also had that killer mentality, also had those, honestly, he mimicked Jordan in a lot of different moves, you know, a lot of different, his style, like the way, his winner mentality was, you know, just pretty much the same as Jordan's, you know. And, yeah, man, you know, so that's why even, you know, when he passed away, that was tough, dude. That was, like, I remember I went to the Staples Center that same day. It was a Sunday. It was the day of the Grammys, I think, were also happening. And, man, it was heavy. The air was actually heavy. Like, it was a weird thing to think about, but it was like, you know, It was tough, man. Even now, I sometimes think about it, and it's surreal to me.
Yeah.
You know, one of the episodes in The Last Dance, it kind of shows like a young Kobe going at Jordan, talking shit, and I'm just like, it's fucked that he's not around. You know, it's weird. Honestly still can't really process it sometimes, but
Yeah.
you know, things happen, man. It just shows you doesn't matter how successful you are, like your time can come at any time. So you might as well get the most out of life now.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Yeah, and I remember that night too, or the night prior, I should say, because I was at the airport. I was gonna fly out to Guadalajara for a wedding, and our flight got canceled because of the heavy fog, and we're just like, man, this sucks. Like, we're gonna miss our flight, and, and they're telling us what's for your safety, and we're just thinking like it's fog, man. Like, what the fuck can go wrong? And then the next day, you see the COVID shit, and you're like, damn, like, hey, you just gotta be patient, man. you know, like, you don't want to rush things, and that was a perfect example. That was like that also has changed my life too. I was like, man, like, hey, just let life go, and
yeah, man,
don't worry about what you can't control.
Yeah, for sure. So I kind of mentioned that I'm going back to Portland, so kind of let me get into that a little bit.
Yeah.
So the reason I used to live there for 2 years, and I came back about 3 years ago, and during COVID, obviously I trained Jiu Jitsu. I don't know if you knew that. I've been doing it for about 4.5 years at this point. And it's tough because, out of all the things that, out of all the different ways of exercising, Jiu Jitsu is the most contact, like, sport ever. I mean, you're literally grappling with, somebody on the ground.
Right.
You're sharing sweat. You're sharing the air that you breathe into each other, So I have been able to train, and up until that point, like, training jiu-jitsu was just part of my life. It was like a habit. Like, it was like, I mean, of course I'd have slow weeks. I'd train maybe only 3 times a week. But, I would train anywhere from 3 to 10 times a week. And, because of COVID, I kind of got used to life without jiu-jitsu. And even when kind of the gyms opened back up a little bit, when when we got through like phase 3 or 4 or whatever it was, and things opened up again, I just didn't have that same love, which kind of like made me really upset, So I went on a road trip pretty recently, and I came back about a week ago now. And I kind of started to kind of find that spark of jiu-jitsu again, because even training here, I didn't have it. And then because I started in Portland, and so I'm gonna go and train in my old gym.
Do you think it was the people, the surroundings, or them?
Well, see, my gym in Pasadena is amazing. I train at 10th Line of Pasadena, and it's a fantastic gym. There's a great. I have some great like training partners, some friends. My coaches are awesome. I couldn't ask for more. But for some reason in Portland, maybe because it was my first gym ever, it's just a different like feeling I get when I'm there.
Yeah.
There is. And when I went and trained I trained for 2 days while I was on my road trip when I stopped in Portland, I started to get that like, oh man, I miss being here. I miss like just the vibe that gym has.
Yeah.
And just like a lot of people during COVID, man, I gained a good amount of weight. I was doing good for a while, and then the thing about doing Pokemon is that there's not a whole lot of moving around.
Yeah.
I'm on a table. I'm sitting down on my table just organizing and doing things, right?
Right.
So in the beginning of COVID, I tried to stay focused and just kind of train and run and do all these things, and I did well for a while, but just like a lot of people, it just kind of stopped. Right. And this trip is solely for me to like find my passion in jiu-jitsu and fitness again, because I love living at home. It's fine, like I pay very little rent, and it's nice, but like the area that I'm in and like the surrounding, it keeps me lazy. It just keeps me lazy, man, and there's just no other way of putting it. And I just know that I don't have and then my dad buys like all sorts of like snacks and all these different things. And I'm the kind of person, I can go to the grocery store and get no trash, junk food. Right. But if it's in front of me at the house, I'm going to eat it. That's just how it is with me, and that's how it's always been. And I'm hoping to change that. So this trip really is for, the reason I'm making this move is because I want to just focus on fitness. Like, I'm not even going to do Pokemon stuff for a while, maybe like minimal. But like, it's just for me to just fall in love with fitness again, right. Fall in love with jiu-jitsu, retake my health and just kind of like become the best version of me, because I'm at my happiest when I'm, when I feel a little bit slimmer, when my jiu-jitsu is a little bit smoother, when I'm running daily, and like I love being outside. And the Pacific Northwest is so beautiful that, between running and hiking, like it's gonna be a good time.
Right.
And it's like, and it is kind of abrupt. It was an abrupt move, but I was like, you know what? I over time I've become this guy that just like takes action. I just like do shit. Right. I just take the risk. I don't care. At the end of the day, like I'm gonna figure it out. So
that's how it has to be. You know, you just got to start and figure it out along the way. That's how it has to be.
And that's huge. That's something I think everybody should like understand, that like not everybody has this perfectly planned out you know, that they have to go step by step. It's not like that's not how it is. You know, maybe you have a little bit of an outline, but sometimes you just got to like take the jump and figure it out, seriously. And you'd be surprised at just how, you know, like what doors will open when you do that, and what kind of like things will happen for you when you just decide to like have that confidence, just be like, fuck this, I'm doing it, you know. So
yeah, for me, like I did a Rolls Royce episode last week. I never in my life ever imagined being in that type of car. Like, that was so awesome, and I love it. Like, it's my favorite car, man. It's just awesome. It's beautiful, and you know, I just did a review, but you know, hopefully in the future, not hopefully, but I will in the future. You know, make that my goal to get.
And you
that
have
car,
to, man.
Yeah.
And you have to.
And it's not for the materialistic. It's just I love like that. I see it as a work of art. You know, so much craftsmanship goes into it, and it's luxury, but it's a great piece of art, and that's how I interpret it. And you know, whatever comes with the territory that comes with it. But I just love that car, man. And I'm gonna get it one day.
Attaboy, man, for sure. And I'll
probably try to make it my daily driver. Unlike other people, but just collecting it for me would be my daily driver, man. I just love that car.
I love that, man. Yeah.
And then going back to Portland, man. Yeah, I visit up there. I have a cousin, or a couple cousins who live up there, and this was, man, they moved there maybe 10 years ago. So it was very cheap, and you know, now you have this mass exodus from California people leaving Portland, Texas, and
it's bad. It's there's a lot of jokes. I've been around enough to, you know, to hear like the jokes from people from Idaho, like Boise, Austin, Nashville, you know, Portland, Seattle. Like, people are flocking to these other cities because I get it, man. You know, I think, look, I love LA. Like, this is where I'm from. It's taught me that hustle, you know, like I have this like kind of hustle mentality, and I don't know. I just feel like I wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for growing up here and having the friends that I made here and surrounding myself with the people I did. Right. But, you know, living in Portland, I kind of learned to enjoy the day-to-day a little bit more. You know, I was so worried about this like goal of like making money, buying a house, like having this, having that. And I just kind of never really just chilled out to be like, hey, like, you got to enjoy your daily life. You know, you truly enjoy your routine. And, you know, and then after being in Portland for 2 years, when I left at the height, like, when I left Portland, I didn't leave like, oh, it's time for me to leave or something happened. But I just knew something deep down inside was like, all right, Pablo, like, you've been here for almost 2 years and things are great, but you're also complacent. And I don't like complacency. You know, I mean, we all, you know, fall to it, but like, I just knew I still had that LA hustler in me, starting to come out. And so when I came back to LA, that's when I started the meal prep company thing, and it just really like, and it, you know, I started training again, like, and, well, not even again, like immediately after, but.
Sorry to interrupt. The meal prep, you were doing it out in Portland?
I was not. I had a friend that did.
Okay.
And when I came here, I just said to myself, why can't I do that? And I just kind of thought about it. I was like, man, I get to work in a kitchen. I don't have to, like, without customers, without servers bothering me, without, like, coworkers that give me a lot of shit. Like, just, like, me and, you know, at least to start. Because, you know, when you start, you don't have a whole lot of meals, right? Yeah. And eventually I got to the point where I had, like, two employees. It wasn't too big. But it was some of the best. Like, I loved it, you know? And the reason I stopped was because I kind of hit this point where I was, like, not really looking. Like, I used to look forward to, because the way it worked, it was like this, you know? I used to shop for everything on Friday, prep stuff, make sauces, do all that stuff on a Saturday, and cook on Saturday, and then deliver on Sunday. And at first I used to do all of it, and I loved it. I wouldn't say I was looking forward to every single Friday, but I was definitely like stoked knowing that like I just have to work hard, like, you know, pretty much 2 days. I have to drive all day, but I was doing Uber before that, so like driving isn't anything. Yeah. And I just had 4 days off to train Jiu Jitsu, enjoy life, you know, hang out with friends, do whatever. And I loved it, man, and it was awesome. It was so fun trying to figure out how to build the business, how to build a name, and I started working with like different people, like people in jiu-jitsu. You know, we're talking world championship people. I even worked with with 2 different UFC fighters. I don't know, Diego Brandel and Mickey Gall, and I started surrounding myself and then meeting, you know, and I just started to meet like people that like I wouldn't be meeting if I didn't just get after and do this like meal prep thing. I just kind of put myself out there, 100%, man. And it was great while it lasted. But then I did hit this point where I was like, I kind of had this point of like, okay, I can grow this and have some, maybe train somebody to eventually run this, and I can kind of be more of a, kind of owner on the side, or I can just like stop doing it, And it was one of those like things, and I just like really envisioned my life, and I was like, how do you see yourself playing this? And when it came down to it, I was like, as much as I like this for the, for the time that I did it, I don't want to deal, like I didn't want to deal with fire grub anymore. And that's when I knew this is not going to grow, because now I don't have the same passion, I don't have the same fire that I did when I first started. So it was one of those things where, especially from the outside looking in, people are like, oh my God, like, why would you do that? It seemed like things were going good. And it's just like, and that's the thing, like, I've learned that when you don't know the full story, when you haven't been there day in, day out with whatever endeavor you're into, whatever situation you're in, you won't get it. You won't know. Right. It's the same reason why someone divorces someone that has a lot of money. Like, why would you leave that lifestyle or whatever? It's like, you just don't know the full story, And I just had to hit this point where I was like, I'm out, And I kept luckily I made some good, I had some good clients, and I kind of still cooked privately for them. I did more of a personalized meal plan for them, and that kind of, and luckily living at home, and I put myself in a situation where I don't have a whole lot of bills. Yeah. So I didn't have to make a ton of money. All I had to do that, do a little bit of Uber on the side, and I was just training jiu-jitsu. And then obviously the pandemic hit, and then I had to kind of, I had to just adapt and figure out what I do next.
And did you feel like, do you think you can pinpoint like what was the reason, or you feel like it became a routine, or?
Well, I never really loved cooking. Like, I was good at it. I was good at it, and I like it. I like cooking. I don't love cooking, and that's the big difference. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where you can like something, but if you just like it, it wears out, and then sometimes it becomes like something like a chore or something, and that's the thing. And I try to do things that I love. So right now with this Pokemon thing, I love collecting. I love finding cards. I love making negotiations. I love, giving somebody a good deal, knowing that they're happy they got that deal. I love doing jiu-jitsu because actually my at least one of my goals is to have my own jiu-jitsu academy, because I know how much it's changed me and how much it's helped me. I would like to open a jiu-jitsu academy and hopefully change the lives of others that walk through those doors.
Yeah, pass on to us, like that you want to get that feeling that you feel, you want to share with others. Because for me, I can relate. For me, I love cooking. Going back to the catering, like that's another thing I have on the side. But I do love it, and like I would love to open up a restaurant. But the hard thing here in LA is it's very hard to make a profit in a restaurant industry. Very hard. Mm-hmm. But when we go back to that passion, like not everything in life is money. You got it's definitely a big part. You got to be realistic. That, you got to pay bills. You got to take care of your staff as well. It's not just you once you get a restaurant. And I love that feeling. Like when I'm cooking and like I just see that smile on their face, like, oh man, like this is the best thing I ever had, man. And like I love that feeling.
For sure, man.
And I just love bringing that joy. Like, and when I cook, like I cook for myself. I always think about myself like, all right, this is how I would want it prepared from me. So, I tried some places where it's like, man, what the hell am I eating? Like this is just some garbage. But you can tell like they're just serving it. They're trying to make money. They're not doing it because
it's just it's just like, for sure. Like I heard this one great quote that it was if you're not doing something to benefit the world, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, I agree.
And I absolutely agree with that. And like you said, like the joy that you get is that when someone eats your food and they love it and they have a smile on their face and they're having a good time and they're like, oh my God, they're taking pictures. Man, that feels good. Yeah. Because you did something to make this person smile, to make this person happy. And it's the same thing with jiu-jitsu, it's the same thing even with Pokemon cards, man. Like, like people that collect this, like they love it, dude. Like, like when you get like your mail day and you open your mail and then you got the card that you bought, like, bro, there's just a great feeling about it, Like when I'm organizing and I'm bumping music and I'm in a good mood and I'm just like, doing what I'm doing, it's just like, it feels great, man. And I think it's gonna be like, you gotta find that sweet spot of like, like helping others, others that aren't you, making a little bit of money and enjoying what you do. And I think when you find that trifecta, I think that's, I think that's when you're gonna be at your happiest and you're gonna be your most motivated to make that like bigger and more successful.
Yeah, definitely agree. And so I'm gonna take a wild guess.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably be wrong on it.
Yep.
But since you're into jiu-jitsu and you love Pokemon, I'm gonna say Hitmonlee or Hitmonchop is your favorite Pokemon.
Nah, man, I'm basic as fuck. Me, just like 90% of Pokemon collectors is a Charizard guy. Listen, I grew up with Charizard, and Ash had that relationship, from Charmander all the way to Zard, and it's Charizard, baby. Like everybody's favorite Pokemon is Charizard, but it's for a reason. It's the reason why it's the most sought after card, like even for future generations, like to this day. A Charizard came out like in 20 years ago, and kids are still like all about it. Like. He's an absolutely iconic. Like
as far as the Charizard card, I know it's very very expensive. Is it due to being a fan favorite? Is it rare? Like I have no idea about that.
Dude, all sorts of reasons. So like, here's the thing about like cards, and there's a lot of different sets, right? And there's the original sets from like I believe like in the from the late 90s all the way up to 2000. I don't remember what year it was, but it was made by Wizards of the Coast, very popular, card making company, and people just love those cards. They love, and that's like where most of the interest is. And a lot of those different sets, they had like variations to it. There was first edition Shadowless. There's regular Shadowless. There's first edition, just first edition Unlimited, and then there's just regular Unlimited, and the older stuff had less print of it, and a lot of it has been opened. So because we are 20 years later, it's been out of print for 20 plus years, a lot of those packs now, they're worth, and booster boxes are worth a lot of money. And yeah, man, it's just one of those things where, people want collectibles. Like, I think we said it off air, is the 90s are making a comeback.
Yeah.
People love retro things, whether it's shoes, whether it's clothing, whether it's, collectibles. And with you couple that with the fact that Charizard is one of the most popular Pokemon there is, and you have all these different Charizards that we grew up on with sick artwork, and yeah, man, now here you have this boom. I mean, think about it; they're never gonna reprint any of these like cards again.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where like everybody wants to get their hands on it, and eventually becomes a simple supply and demand. There's only so many cards, and you gotta think there are lots of people that hoard these cards.
Yeah.
I know one guy that actually that he gives me a lot of advice. He's a really cool dude. He just showed his collection like on Facebook Live, and bro, he has like freaking seems like hundreds of Charizards. And then you gotta think like how many people are on the same boat that have that, and then you gotta think how many cards are officially like they've been thrown away to the trash, they're out of print, and like they're just long gone.
Yeah.
So it becomes like so little by little, like you have less supply and more demand. So it's kind of simple thing.
People like me who threw out all their
hey man, it happens. Kids, we weren't thinking about like taking care of the card.
Yeah.
Like people would like put it in their pocket in school, and then Reese says, "Oh my God, look at my Charizard. Let me see your Blastoise." And you're not all those little things, all those little movements. Dude, cards can get fucked up in a binder. You can be in a binder sitting in your drawer. And the binder, if there's a certain amount of weight on it, or there's a certain angle of the ring or something like that.
Humidity, all that
stuff. Bro, there's a lot of different ways of cards getting messed up. So you got to think, like, not a lot of people have the foresight to take care of their cards,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a crazy world. And then you throw in graded cards. I don't know if you're familiar with card grading.
I think we discussed a little, but please discuss for our viewers.
Yes, okay. So there's two big players. There's Beckett. And then there's PSA. PSA stands for Professional Sports Authenticator. And basically, so a raw card means it's a card like that you get from a pack that's like not graded. And so when you submit these cards to these companies, it can get a grade anywhere from 1 to 10. 10 being a gem mint, meaning it's like the perfect card. It's not just about condition, but it's also about the print quality.
Okay.
Like maybe the border centering has to be perfect. The hollow can't be scratched. There can't be any print lines or mistakes from the machines. So it's very hard to get, especially with these older cards.
Right.
So when you send in these cards to these companies, a lot of times people collect these they call them slabs. Kind of funny. They collect these slabs. And it's hard to get a 9 or a 10 for a lot of these older cards. So they become more valuable, like significantly more valuable. We're talking like, let's say you have a standard unlimited base Charizard, right? The one that most people had when they grew up. that card in good condition, like near mint, let's say, probably goes for about $300 right now, like raw, just raw. But if you grade that card and it gets an 8, it goes up to probably at this point I'm guessing it's about $700, right? Which is okay. It's a good increase, like almost more than double.
Yeah.
You get to a 9, that's not worth closer to 1,000. Now we're talking 3 times your profit.
Right.
You get that in a 10, we're talking like I don't know what the price is as of now, but I wouldn't be surprised if a unlimited base Charizard is between $2,500 and $3,500 for one card. Now, I personally have a few cards that already came back to me from the grading company, because the grading company takes a while, especially right now that everybody got back into it. It takes anywhere from 3 to 5 months probably to get your cards back. So yeah,
and you have to send them in to.
Yeah, you send them in through the mail, and then they basically go through the process, and it takes.
Do you ever get that fear, like, man, like what if they lose my card? Or
you know what? I don't, because this is how I kind of like rationalize it or reason with it. The moment my cards left me and they were in the mail, I sort of like kind of mourned them, in my own little way of like, if someone were to call me right now and tell me all my cards are lost, I wouldn't be happy, but I wouldn't be like, it wouldn't be like maybe some other people that like. Would like it would ruin their life. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, it'd be like, that fucking sucks. It is what it is, and but I've already kind of gotten over that. So whenever I get the cards back, it's like Christmas, because I wasn't expecting it.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. It's my own way of doing it. I have to like I do those kind of things with certain ways. Like whenever if let's say I want to spend money on a card or on clothes or whatever. And I'm like, dude, should I get that? Should I spend $80 on that, $50 on that? And I kind of think like it's kind of irresponsible, but sometimes it's fine. I will be like, are you gonna think about those $80 you spent in 2 months from now? The answer is probably I won't even think about it by next week. Yeah. So what I kind of say that to myself, and I'll convince myself to do it. Obviously, I don't always do that, but like I think sometimes you just gotta be like, when you're really thinking like, should I add the wok on the burrito, or should I do this? Bro, just fucking do it. Like. Do the little things that make you happy. Obviously, if it's like if it's for like smoking or something, now don't buy the cigarettes or something like that. But yeah, man. And there's this like crazy amount of money in this world, and so that's kind of the business plan that I knew I could. So I was blessed that about 5 years ago I started collecting Pokemon again. I was in Kentucky. I was living in Louisville because I was helping open a restaurant out there, and I was just bored because I had nothing to do. Like, because the restaurant wasn't open, and you can only do so much. So while a restaurant's not open,
and it's Kentucky.
Yeah, so I got into collecting again. I got into collecting just because I don't know why, and at the time cards are way cheaper. So I started collecting. I came up on some pretty sick collections. Like this guy, my greatest collection. He sold me this insane amount of cards. Like it had like over 300 holographic cards. It means the shiny cards, right? About of those 300, maybe 100, 120 were first edition, meaning like first edition usually has far more value than like its counterpart of non. It's a little bit deeper than that, but and then I also had about maybe 3,000 or 4,000 non-holographic cards, all in perfect condition, like organized, labeled. And this guy, I was like, he was selling for $150 here in Monterey Park, not that far from here. And I drove from the valley. Like I replied immediately. I was like, "Yo, let's meet up." And I asked him, and he like shows me, and I couldn't fucking believe what I was looking at. And then he shows me, and I asked him, and I had to ask him like, "Hey, bro, so like what? So you used to collect, but like you don't feel them anymore?" He's like, "Nah, man, these are my brothers." I was like,
shit.
Bro, everything was immaculate, labeled, like perfectly, like stored. And I felt like I had that moment of like morality of like, yo, fuck this guy. Seriously, fuck this guy, because I know what it's like to have, like, that's bullshit. Yeah. But I knew if I don't buy these cards, this cat's gonna sell it to the next person. Yeah. So in my own way, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do right by this kid, and I'm gonna collect these cards, and I'm gonna love them, and I did. And I organized them the way I organized them, and I kept them. I put, after maybe about 6-7 months of collecting, got over it again, and then just stored them away. Fast forward to 4 months ago, end of March, and I pulled all those cards. So this is kind of how it actually happened. So cause I already had a bunch of Pokemon cards. I actually wanted to get into Yu-Gi-Oh cards again, because I used to love collecting Yu-Gi-Oh cards as well. So, I got into collecting Yu-Gi-Oh, and then I was doing that for about 2 or 3 weeks. Then I got kind of bored, and then I was like, oh shit, I have a bunch of extra holographic cards that I don't need, like, because I found them in my garage. Like, I could sell them on eBay, right? So I put up like this random first edition Blossom and this Zapdos from Fossil. And I was like, okay, I was like, Blossom, I'll get $12 for it. I was still thinking 2015 numbers. I didn't even bother to look on eBay. Yeah. And then I put the Zapdos for $10. Mind you, they're in perfect condition. And I've sold on eBay before. Those fucking cars sold within a minute of each other. Like, I posted the Blossom, sold within a minute. Posted Zapdos, sold within a minute.
Yeah.
I was like, me being sort of smart, I was like, something's up. I don't like. I appreciate that I made the money, but I don't like how fast that was. Something's got to give. So then I looked into it, and then I started looking at the numbers, and I sold for like about 40-50% like asking price of eBay, and I was like, damn, these cards went up, huh? So then I started doing some more research, and then all of a sudden, looking up all my big boy cards or my big hitter cards, I mean, and I was like, oh fuck. That $150 investment I made. I mean, obviously there was more cards that I bought before that, but dude, I was sitting on like raw. I estimate I was sitting about $5,000 to $7,000. Not even graded. Not even graded. Yeah, and I know people always say that. No. I know I've been submerged into Pokemon for 4.5 months. I know just as much as most people at this point. Not to not be arrogant or anything like that, but like I know a lot. Cause I literally can't stop like looking up Pokemon stuff on Reddit, online, whatever. So I was like, what the fuck? And then I randomly, I was selling some cards online on Facebook Marketplace, and there was this guy who had a few mutual friends, because he used to be, I guess, I don't know if he still is, but he used to be an MMA fighter, and we just got to talking, and then he kind of like, yo, bro, you should join these Pokemon groups, and then the rabbit hole started. Then I started, like, finding out about PSA, finding out about Beckett, graded cards, and I thought to myself, what if I send in all these cards to get graded, and they're going to all anywhere from double to quadruple in value, and then sell them. Like, I can sell them now for this much money, or I can, like, be patient and think kind of more like from an investing point of view. Yeah. And so that's what I did. So I sent in about 120 cards to start. And yeah, man. And so now I'm waiting on, I got like 15 cards back, but I'm waiting on about another 105. But then over the last few months, I kept purchasing collections. I was just investing my, all the extra money I had, dipping into the savings a bit, most of it. But I knew, because I'm thinking from like an investor point of view, like, hey, what if I create a system where I submit cards to PSA, maybe like 50 to 60 cards every month, right? And like I said, there's a 3 to 5 month waiting period, correct? Right. But what if I send submissions monthly? Eventually, once my original 3 to 6 months are over, which I'm already approaching towards the end of that, because I already know some of them are going to come back soon, maybe September, then in theory, I will have product coming into me every month. Does that make sense? Yes. So, and then when I get that product, I'm going to sell, keep some of the money, put some of the money back towards the product. I don't want to just sell it all and then that's it. I'm thinking long term. I'm thinking like, eventually I want to have, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to invest, because there are people that sell collections, right? And the worst part about, being in this world is watching big players, like the guys that just have thousands of dollars to spend, buy up all these like amazing collections. And it's not like I can't afford it. It's not like they're like better negotiators or whatever. I mean, maybe some of them are, but it's just it comes down to money. I just don't have $2,000 to be like, hey, I'll buy your collection for $2,000. Yeah. But that's the thing, like, and so that's the goal, man. So I'm already about 4 months in, so I truly believe that over the next few months, I'm gonna start getting submissions. And like I said, as soon as I get my next submission of 50 cards and I sell it, let's say I make about $2,000-$3,000. I'm not going to be stupid and spend all that money. I'm not going to be too conservative and keep all of it. I'm going to use some of that money for whatever I need to use it, and I'm going to spend, a good amount of it back into the hobby and to buy more cards, and then I'm going to send in more cards. So in theory, if I send in, and eventually as I have more capital, I'm not going to do 50 card submissions. I'm going to do 100 card submissions, 150 card submissions. Yeah. And now we're talking real money, because like if the hobby stay steady, which all signs point that it will for a while, like this could be a viable business and I can do this from anywhere. I mean, everything's done through PayPal, eBay, Facebook groups. I mean, you do a little bit of local buys and sells, but not all that much.
The internet changed everything. Right?
Absolutely, bro. And I've always like loved people or admire people that work from home, whether it's a coder, whether it's someone that does like customer service or whatever the case is. And I've always wanted, man, I wish I had that kind of freedom, bro. Like, I don't want to be in a restaurant. I don't want to be in an office like day in, day out. I want to have a flexible life, and I just kind of saw it as a way for me to do that. Yeah. So here I am, and the next few months, it'll really show me like, can I do this? Is this like is this a possible like way? And just seeing what other people do, because I know I'm not the only person that does this or is trying to do this. I think it will.
And how much do they charge like to submit the card to so it can get graded?
I pay $10.50
per card.
Per card.
Okay.
Yeah. So like my goal is, and I don't want to, and I'm gonna be a little bit smarter because like everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people overcharge for the cards, or they want to charge exactly what market is. Fair enough. That's fair. I'm not thinking like that. I'm thinking more of the route of like moving more. Like, so like let's say I buy a raw card, right, for $10. I send it into PSA. Let's say it gets a 9, and I pay $10 to get that graded. That's $20. Let's say that PSA 9 card is worth $55 or $60 right now on eBay or whatever. Okay. I'm charging $45 because the way I see it, I'd rather double my money and keep it moving than try to find the perfect buyer every single time for every single card. Right. I mean, some cards you don't want to sell yourself too short. I'm not dumb, but I'm going to charge anywhere from 10 to 25% less than everyone else because I want to just keep it moving. Because I'm looking at like, it's not about getting try to like milk every single penny. 100%. The way I see it, it's like if I keep it moving and I'm selling 2 or 3 times at the rate that you're selling, I'm gonna be making just as much money or more than you. Yeah. So that's kind of where that's what I see. That's what I want to do. Right. So.
As long as you're making a profit,
yeah. That's for sure. And that's and that's the thing. Like I don't want to get too greedy because I'm thinking, like I said, I'm thinking long term. I'd rather just, and then eventually, like I said, once I have $5,000 to spend monthly on cards, it's over, bro. Like I'm gonna be buying a ton of collections, and I'm gonna be sending in, and I'm gonna just keep it moving, And my goal, dude, at the end of and then, of course, I'm still a collector. I still have my own personal stash. I have my own graded cards that I'm not gonna part ways with for any reason unless like it's dire like financial need or something. And so like it's just a good blend of like business and fun. Like I still love collecting. I love having it, and yeah.
And so what's the holy grail for Pokemon?
So your first edition base Charizard, right? So no, I'm sorry. Yeah, first edition Shadowless base Charizard. That card right now, in a PSA 10, I believe is worth between $75,000 and $90,000.
Oh shoot.
Yeah. Oh, here's a fun one for you guys. The Game Boy Red? Yeah. The red version and blue version. Remember how he's like what, $20-$25 and you opened it and you played it? Yeah. If you would have kept that sealed till today, sealed in good condition, you could sell it for anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000. A fucking Game Boy game. Yup. Yeah. Here's another side of Pokemon that people don't know about. Sealed product. Sealed product. That world is crazy. Like, you remember that booster pack where you open the nice Venusaur booster pack or Charizard booster packs?
Yeah, man.
if you have an unlimited booster pack, this is the thing. So back then, Pokemon, they didn't, it was the first run, so they couldn't have known. So holographic cards weigh just a tad bit more than non-holographic cards. Mm-hmm. So people started weighing the packs.
I actually did that with Yu-Gi-Oh! I remember like
cool.
The holographic cards.
Yeah.
I was like, there's a very slight weight difference, but you could.
Yeah, we're talking. Yeah, you need like a 2 decimal like weight. Yeah. We're talking like in Pokemon, if it's under 21 grams, most likely there's no holo in there because the English version of base only has only 1 in 3 packs has a holo, where in Japan it's like every single card has or every single pack has a holo. Mm. But so let's say it's 21 grams and under. That pack sealed goes anywhere between I guess $150 to like $250 around there. Yeah. If it's heavy, it goes towards the $500 or $600 range. If it's like almost like a guaranteed holo in there, right? Yeah. But that's the problem. Sealed has gotten so expensive that unless you pull like a Blastoise or a Charizard, you're gonna lose out on that. You might as well keep it sealed. Right. The first edition heavy packs, so the ones that contain a holo for sure. We're talking those fucking packs are worth $3,000 to $5,000 each a pack. Yeah. Just one of those packs that you used to open as a kid. You could go to Target and open a pack right now, right? One of these, a sealed booster box, a first edition base with 36 packs in it, sealed. We're talking almost $100,000, bro.
Oh wow!
So if someone had the foresight, which some people did. Some people even have the foresight to just buy it now. Like, not even now, I'm sorry, buy it within the last 10 years. Like there were people that bought, even now, your regular like base booster boxes are going between, I think they're like at 12,000 right now, between 8 and 12,000. I don't know exactly the prices anymore. But the reason people are buying those, some people just generally want to collect it and have it, but some people just know, hey, if this is worth 12,000 now, in 10 years we're talking 2 or 3 times, probably more. Who knows? So yeah, so if someone had a first edition booster box and they just sat on it and it's in good condition, yeah, bro, we're talking you can buy a house in some states. You know what I'm saying? Like damn nearly. So yeah, man, it's a crazy ass world. And right now, because there are a lot of more people that think the same way that I'm like, kind of that I'm thinking right now, that I'm saying like the things that I'm saying. People are you got a lot of people investing in like the current sealed product. Because right now everything is retail, right? Get this for $40, get this for $50, $100, whatever. And everybody's kind of banking that some of these things, when the kids of today are our age now and have the money to buy and the nostalgia hits, they're also going to be paying a premium for, because you got to think, the kids of today, bro, they're not going to want to buy, I mean, some of them might, but most of them are going to want to buy a base booster box, like from our childhood, because they didn't grow up with it. Yeah, to them, there's no attachment. It's just kind of how, like, I just opened 4 booster boxes from the newest set, like a few days ago. It was fun. Opening packs is always going to be fun. But the nostalgia is just not there. It's just not like, it's not the same feeling. It's fun, but it's not the same feeling. You know what I'm saying? Like if for some reason, like, someone gave me a booster box and if I don't open it, it'll disappear and I had to, bro, I'm sure that the feeling of opening that booster box would be next to, like, it would be something I've never experienced in my life. But yeah, man, so the Pokemon world is a whole lot of, there's money to be made, just like there is with sports cards, just how there is with Magic the Gathering, and all sorts of other, collectibles.
And how do you feel, like, I've seen a lot of YouTube videos where, like we said, they get those first generation, those boxes, and they just cut them open just to, for the views or something.
You know why they do that? Because they have a following, they have a Patreon, they have ad revenue. Yeah. To them, yeah, I mean, maybe you want to keep it sealed, right? Maybe deep down you want to. But this is what's happening. They're getting money from ad revenues. They're getting money from Patreon, from fans that subscribe, all that stuff. And all the cards that they get, they're going to send, because they're all like going to be in perfect condition. Yeah. They're going to send that stuff to get graded. So they're making their money like many times over. And they realize that keeping it sealed is a fair option. But they have this even more insane option of like, just banking in on their popularity online.
Right,
so
and
yeah,
and their fan base is paying for it. So
they're not paying anything. Like maybe they're paying for the original thing, but like you said, if they're getting, I don't know how much these guys are making, but like you got guys like Leon Hard, these other guys, bro. I promise you that like at the end, like once you take into account the donations and all these different things, they're paying a lot less for those boxes. Yeah. So yeah, man, it's there's a whole lot of money to be made. I'm going to eventually really invest into my YouTube channel. Right now, it's just not the right time for me. But, like, I kind of started it, but I know I'm not going to get too deep into it. But it is fun. It is fun to, like, open packs online, have friends or different people, like, be on there. You talk to them as you're opening. You're just shooting the shit. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and also let our viewers know where they can follow you.
Yeah, so my Pokemon Instagram is actually PokePobs. My name is Pablo, so everybody calls me Pobs. It's been like that for a very long time. So just Poke and then PABS. Yeah. So that's my Pokemon Instagram.
And then all right, so let's go back. You recently went on, was it like 2 weeks ago maybe? Where'd you go to Portland?
Yeah.
But you took a long route. You went on a nice drive.
Oh yeah, bro. Yeah, I went through. So, I've been telling myself that I wanted to do this drive for a while, and that drive was to visit through Montana, drive through Idaho and Montana, a little bit more of Washington, because I've known Washington, but not that much, and then come back down to Portland, and then just kind of back home. And I've been telling myself I was gonna do this road trip for like 2 years. And there's always, to be fair, when I was running my business, it was pretty much impossible to do it because I had to be there week after week. Yeah. Like I remember the first year that I started my business, I took 1 weekend off, and that was for my best friend's birthday. 2 weekends. I'm sorry, for my best friend's birthday, and it just so happened that year in 2018, I want to say, Christmas and Christmas Day were on a Friday and Saturday, so no one's gonna get meals between that and New Year's. So I was like, cool, I'm taking that week off, and I went to New York actually. So, yeah, so anyway, so fast forward to, like, they had this pandemic happen, and I've been cooped up at home for months, it seems like, and, still come out, still go hiking and go outside, but, like, just like a lot of people, it really affected our daily lives. And I was just kind of thinking, like, if I don't go on this road trip now where I don't necessarily have a job that I have to do, I just have private clients that I can just be like, hey, I'm taking 2 weeks off, I'm never going to do it, and honestly, dude, even up until the day that I left, I wasn't necessarily in the mood to do it. But I knew it was something I had to do. It was like an itch that I had to scratch.
When you would come back and forth from Portland, would you go by flight or?
Yeah, So I only made that Portland drive. Well, now it's twice, but I've only made that, and about to be 3 times. But I only made that Portland drive 1 time when I went there, when I came back.
Okay.
So, and yeah, because the flights are so cheap, I could get a round trip for like $120.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So dude, even on the last day, bro. Like, luckily I had a friend that joined me on my trip. She was actually doing a Jiu Jitsu competition in Long Beach. I convinced her to come with me. So that was like, cool. That's gonna be like 12, 13 hours of like, because I love driving. I love listening to music, podcasts. I'm not afraid of my own thoughts. Like, I love just like, just like reflecting and doing all that kind of stuff, which I did a whole lot of. But like on my way there, like it was awesome to have a friend, and yeah. So then I went up to where she lives in Oregon. Then I drove up to Portland, spent a few days there. Then I went to Bend, Oregon, which is Central Oregon. A lot of people have always told me that I would like it, which is awesome. Met a nice, this brother and sister. They were really cool. Like, we were hanging out that night. It was awesome. Met some cool people in my hostel. Then I went to Boise, Idaho, because Boise, Idaho is somewhere where I've been thinking about moving there for a few years now. And because I've had different Uber passengers and just different friends tell me, like, Pablo, I think you really like Boise, Idaho. And I was like, huh. Just you hear that enough, it just kind of gets stuck in your head, So I went to Boise, fantastic, bro. It was an awesome time. I hung out with my buddy Blake. I got to like kind of drive around and just like really see the city. Just put on some headphones and just kind of walk through downtown and just like just people watch. Like, I love doing stuff like that. But I knew, and I was trying to envision my life because I knew I wanted to leave LA. Like, and I am. And I wanted to kind of envision my life and my daily routine. And as much as I liked Boise, I just didn't see it. I just couldn't visualize it. I was just thinking like, okay, how would I, where would I live, or how would it be? How would my daily routine be? And it just didn't feel right. And I'm someone that really follows their instincts. Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm glad I visited Boise, and now I know that it's maybe most likely not for me. Yeah. Never say never, but at least for now, it's not for me. Then I drove to Montana. Let me tell you guys. If you guys are ever in Idaho and you can take the I-87 from Idaho to Montana, it is one of the most beautiful drives you'll see in your life. It was one of those where I had to just kind of park and just kind of like take in like the mountains that were surrounding me and just the scenery. It was just fucking beautiful, man. And I remember thinking, because you would see like little houses and ranches from time to time. Yeah. I'm like, I get why people do this. I get why people decide. Some people I'm sure are like, yo, I don't want to live in a big city anymore. Or, maybe they've been living their entire lives. But it's like, I understand why. There's a certain level of peace that I'm sure you can achieve living. Obviously there's pros and cons to everything. But I understood, Yeah,
for me, I think I would love to do that. But my wife, she loves the city. And
yeah, I get that, yeah.
Not having, but
no, for sure. Yeah, man.
You get that serenity and just get the whole country, man. Right there in your backyard. And it's fucking madness what we do here in LA, man. Like, with traffic and everything, it's
this is
bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I went to go visit, because my parents, they live in Texas, in Dallas. And I go visit them, and then, they'll sometimes talk about traffic. And I was like, what traffic? Like, this is not traffic. This is running compared to LA. Like,
yeah, seriously.
Bullshit what we're going through here in LA with traffic.
Yeah. But we're conditioned to think that this is normal.
Yeah.
It's not. That whole get up in the morning, have to deal with traffic for an hour, go to work, come back and deal with more traffic, deal with traffic when you want to go to the beach, deal with traffic when you're going here, going there. That's not normal, man. And I think people underestimate how much like those things like really like affect your quality of life. Like, right, seriously, sure. Like, think about it. Like, let's say you drive, let's say even like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Bro, those are hours and hours every week that you're dealing with shit that you don't want to deal with. Like, dude, that wears out on you. Now, multiply that by months, by years. It's a long time.
Yeah.
You add the stress of, like, how many people like waking up to an alarm clock? No one. No one likes to wake up to an alarm clock. So if you're one of those people that need an alarm clock to wake up, we're talking, like, you already start your day with, like, fuck, this sucks.
Yeah.
And then you got to do more things that suck. and wait in traffic, 'cause that sucks. Hopefully you don't go to a job that you hate. But like, let's say you go to a job that's just fine. Man, that you just spent the first 10 hours of your day with things that like you're not really feeling.
Right.
Bro, there's a reason why people are unhappy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a reason. Like, and I knew, like, living in Portland, I just like knew, like, there are people there that just kind of live life like day by day. Like, you can't do this anymore because of all the people that move there now. But I would talk to people that have been living there their entire lives, and we're like, yeah, dude, like 10, 12 years ago, which isn't that long, people would just have a part-time job, live with roommates, and just like focus on their art, focus on whatever they do, whatever that makes them happy, hiking, whatever the case is. Like their work was just like something they did like to sustain themselves a little bit, and then most of the week was for, for doing things that they love. And you still get that though from Portland. Like, there are a lot of people that lead their lives, I feel like, in a much better way in that sense. Yeah. And I learned, like, oh, I don't have to always have 2 jobs. I don't always have to make as much money as possible. Like, it's not about that. Yeah. And then as I ran my business, I realized, like, there are smarter ways of making money. You know, there's a reason why I feel like a lot of people don't think that way, or maybe don't see that vision, and that's why we have this like 9 to 5 like. It's just that we
get in this bubble here in LA, and like,
yeah,
we're always thinking about the rent. Like, but we gotta have 2 jobs, like you said. We gotta have 2 jobs. We gotta pay our rent, and then you go check out another state. It's very important that you travel, because 100%. You realize that you're like, what the fuck are we doing here in LA, man? Like, this is some bullshit.
Like I always say, I never knock on anyone for wanting to, like, maybe they were born and they live and they die in the same place. That's fine. If you really love the place you're at, that's fine. But you owe it to yourself to check out other places. Definitely. If you don't do that, you're doing yourself a disservice. Yeah. Because you don't get to see different perspectives of life. You don't get to see different people, and people that just change the way you look, the way you view. Like listen, doing my road trip, not this specific one as much, but past road trips, a lot of the country is red. By red, I mean Republican leaning, right? Dude, some of the nicest, most charismatic, just most fun and loving people I've ever met, I know for a fact they were Republican, you know? And I feel like when when especially now in today's day and age, you kind of, you couple, you group people into, one or the other. And it's like, it's not like that. Most of us are in the middle. Maybe just have some things that you lean towards the right or lean towards the left. And I really got to understand, like, it's like, man, it's not like what I thought it was, like, growing up in LA, my bubble of, like, all Republicans, like, they just care about money and they're racist and this and that. It is not like that. Yeah. And that was something that I'm happy I learned when I was in my early 20s, just road tripping, having lived in all these, or gone to these different places, like, yeah, man, and you just learn so much from traveling. You learn so much about, like, different cultures, the way people live, and maybe you might be inspired, like, it's just one of those things where you got to do it, and now it's the easiest time. Like, before I understood, when you didn't have the internet, you didn't have all these, like, amazing deals you can find online. You can just, like, now, bro, you can literally book a hotel, book a car, book a flight, do everything without moving from your couch. Yeah. All you have to do is set some money aside to do it. All you have to do is tell yourself every check I'm going to put away $20, $25 for 6 to 8 months. That's all you got to do. Yeah. And stick to it, and yeah.
Yeah, and I would travel every two weeks to Mexico, because my wife was living in Guadalajara at the time, and I would fly from Los Angeles to Guadalajara every 2 weeks, and people would be like, where are you getting all this money from? And it's like, no, bro, like, if you do, your research, you'll find that it's very inexpensive to travel. Yeah. Like, I would get my flights for $120 round trip. Yeah. And even the border patrol, they're like, why are you traveling so much? How are you affording this? And I was like, it's not expensive. Like, if you do your research and do it with time and plan everything.
And if you just budget.
Yeah, you budget. You'll definitely be able to make things happen. And and going back to what you said, like, all those areas that tend to be Republican. I met the nicest people. My parents live in Texas and in Dallas. Oh, cool. And I drove here a couple times from LA to Dallas, and it's like a nonstop. It's a 20-hour drive.
Bro, it's brutal. That Texas drive, that's a tough one, brother. Yeah, I've done that. Yeah,
it's tough. But I had my friends tell me, like, man, there's racist people out there. And I was like, I've never experienced that, to be honest. Like, I can really genuinely say I've never experienced racist until I came back to California. I remember entering Blythe, I think it's like the border for Arizona and California. The whole trip, over there to Texas, nothing racism. On the way back, nothing racism. As soon as I entered Blythe, California, like just some people talking shit about Mexicans is like,
yeah.
I was like, all right, man, like, all right, you know, they have their views, but for the most part, you know, they're pretty quiet about shit. Like they keep to themselves. It's just here in California, it's like, I don't know, it's just different world out here. And
for sure, man.
We're definitely in a bubble, and people need to travel, and and you'll see, like, you know, like there's racism, like that you cannot deny that there is racism, but it's not as bad as a problem as you think, and we're living in the best time in history. Like it's just fucking social media, like it paints
a narrative. Yeah.
And you're just getting this constant news feed of bad shit going, all this weird shit.
Did you see that quote that was going around? It was a guy under a waterfall, and I think that Duncan Trussell said it. It's like poor fool that's like meditating next to a waterfall with no phone, like not knowing that he should be afraid and or whatever of this like virus situation or whatever the full quote was. I don't remember, but it was like kind of funny, like, that's a good point. Like if you don't surround yourself with like 24-hour media, and I'm sorry, but Facebook and Instagram, it's become that. Like you want to shit on people that listen to Fox all day and CNN all day. I used to do that. But I realized, like, if I don't check my social media time, or I don't, like, have a timeline that's doesn't just go to that, like, I'm not saying you should be ignorant to what's happening around you, but don't believe that every single thing that you see, you know, not every video, not every article, not every meme, you know, is true. You know, it's one of those things where how many memes and how many different, like just random, like, viral posts have, like, changed people's views or influenced people's views, and they're completely fictional.
Or when people believe the Onion, they think this.
Bro, that's so funny. Yeah, when that happens, like really. Yeah, man. It's it's funny because everybody, even now, like a lot of people know that Onion's like just like satire, but it's like there's a whole lot more that you probably didn't even know was satire, but are.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, yeah, man. I think you shouldn't be ignorant to what's happening around you, and I think you should definitely stand up for injustices and all that stuff. At the same time, like, look around. Like, life isn't like you see online.
Yeah.
There's a reason why when you go on that nice hike and then you go and grab coffee after, like, it's kind of pleasant, right?
Yeah.
Because that's actually what life is like most of the time in real life, not on social media. You know, look at the whole thing that's happening in Portland, right? Bro, I didn't even know that was happening when I was out there. You know why? Because that's happening in a 2 to 3 like block radius.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fucked up what's happening. I'm not, and there's a whole, I don't really want to get into all that, but Portland is not like that at all. Like, when I was there, it was all good. You know what I'm saying? People were reading their books in the park. People are walking their dog. Like, don't think that what you see on social media is everybody's reality. Maybe it's somebody's reality, but not everybody's. And I think that's an important it's important to distinguish that, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like I told you, I live in Tijuana, and maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but
say it.
Nah, man, it's because I don't want to ruin it for Tijuana and the people. It's a fucking great place to live, man. It's so awesome, and like. The news, they scare people, man. They just, like, all this bullshit is, like, if you're doing stupid shit, you're gonna run into trouble, but... What most people don't understand is, like, also, with the resorts, the fucking cartels own the resorts.
Yeah.
So, they want to keep their business.
Yeah, they're not trying to lose money.
They're not trying to lose money. Yeah. So, if, those people, like, end up missing, it's because they're doing some stupid shit majority of the time.
Yeah.
So, but Tijuana, and it's such a beautiful place, such a great place, and I live by the beach, hella cheap.
Yeah.
And it's just.
I have to check it out sometime, man. I swear,
come visit me, man. Yeah.
Dude, it's
my place, and
dude, I'm not all talk. I'll take you up on that.
Definitely,
like,
for sure, bro.
I'm leaving now, but like definitely that sounds like fun, bro. Like, I'd love to just drive, and because when I went through TJ, like the beginning of TJ, I think looks a little sketch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're driving through, and that's kind of all I know about TJ. But I know that's not all there is. It's kind of like when you see like. Movies that are, based in Mexico or something, and you just see, like, huts and poor, like, just poor areas. It's like, bro, have you seen pictures of Mexico City? Like, dog, that is arguably looks a lot better than LA, I'm guessing, like, at least from what I've seen. So, yeah, don't believe everything you see. Gotta go and see things yourself, I feel like, sometimes.
Yeah, and I've traveled all of Mexico, like,
sick.
I've gone south to Chiapas, Cancun, or the rest of Yucatan. And when we moved to Tijuana, we drove from Guadalajara to Tijuana, and that was like a 30-hour drive. And we have no issues. There's no problems at all. So this like I said, it's the media, the news, social media, all this. Like they just paint this narrative, but
yeah,
you know, if you're not looking for trouble, you're not gonna find it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Pretty awesome place. Yeah, so we're actually in the process trying to buy a home.
Okay.
Down there.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and when I first went to Tijuana, I was like, "There's beaches in Tijuana." I was like, "What the fuck?" Like,
yeah, the water's right there.
I know, yeah, but like, you know, it's all coastline, but you have this image of Tijuana, like it's just ingrained in you. You're like, "Oh, there's beaches in Tijuana." Like, okay.
Yeah, I remember when I drove to Ensenada, I feel like I started seeing the coast to my right, and I was like, "Oh, what the fuck? It looks nice.
Yeah,
it looks real nice.
It looks nice, yeah." But I love it, and you know, people are it's different. The traffic, there's not traffic, but you definitely have to be aware.
Yeah.
Because there's not really that many lights. It's more of a roundabout.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, driven through there.
Yeah,
so it's a little scary if you're not used to it.
Exactly.
It's like when I see those you ever seen like I believe it's like in India where it's like people are just there are no lanes. People are just like driving in their own way, and it's kind of like terror. I was like, how the fuck? But apparently they don't have a whole lot of accidents. Yeah, but the honking is like all day. It's like nonstop honking. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and I think it's because of that. Like you're more aware of your surroundings as opposed to here in LA where like
they're not texting and driving, baby. You're not texting and driving.
They're
all like it's a well-oiled machine, you know, and they all know that they have to be part of that.
Yeah. Oh man, let's see. So you say you've been doing mixed martial arts for 4 years?
4 years, yeah.
I could have sworn you were doing it for longer, brother.
You know, I think 4 years kind of stretches a bit, right? It kind of seems that way a lot of times, for sure. I get that.
It's something I actually want to get into myself. I just don't know where to go, and then especially the pandemic's making it harder. So
yeah.
But yeah, I've been looking for a place to go because the most important thing is I want to be disciplined.
Yeah.
And you know, protect myself if the occasion ever rises. You know,
for sure.
Hopefully it never does. Got that mentality where it's like my mentality. I just walk away. I don't deal with the bullshit.
Yeah.
Same thing with my wife. My wife, she drives me nuts sometimes. She loves honking at people. I was like, babe, why are we gonna risk getting shot for 5 seconds of time? Like, just let them pass. And I tell my wife, just let them pass. But my wife knows she loves honking. She loves getting that confrontation.
That's fine. You know, has she ever been in a fight?
Yeah, she has.
She has. It's you know, it's not gonna knock on your wife, but it's like I think it's a little foolish because I think that because we live in a civilized society, right? And it's a little different. We kind of sometimes forget that we don't know what the other person at the end of that is like in the other car, right? Actually, a guy in the valley that went to my high school, like I think that's exactly what happened to him. He had whatever sort of situation, confrontation, approached the guy's car, got blasted. Wow. 3 kids. Sad story. But I think it's something that we always have to remember. We live in such a sheltered life that we forget that there are consequences and there are dangers for anything. Yeah. It's like the people that go to like I don't know, like in Africa, and they go see animals and they tell you don't roll your windows, keep it. You know what I'm saying? All those things, and then they still want to roll down their window because they think they'll be okay, and it's just like nah, you don't have a lot of people don't have a good understanding of like that they're not always safe. It's like going hiking somewhere random in the woods in Montana or wherever, or even California. Like, there are bears out there. There are animals. Like, you need to understand. Like, you need to respect that there are the dangers of the world. You know, and I think that one of those like road rage. And look, I get road rage all the time. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. But I don't think I'd get out of my car and fight anyone, or because I don't know what's on the other side of that. Yeah. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's funny about jiu-jitsu. Maybe you could say the same for other martial arts. I don't know. I only train jiu-jitsu, but for me, so the way to get into that, the way it started was, when I moved to Portland, I was there, and I was working 2 different jobs, like part-time jobs, and I just wasn't really connecting with my coworkers, because a lot of times when you make friends at bars, social gatherings, or your coworkers. I mean, how many of us have made friends through coworkers? That's normal, right? I just wasn't really feeling it, and me being super social, like something that I had to learn while I was in Portland, and now I have more than learned that, is that you have to be okay with being by yourself. You know, I was the kind of person whenever I had any time, like I'd be working 6 days a week, and then on that seventh day, I want to go hang out with people. And like at first, I was like, oh, maybe I would. You would think like, oh, it's because you know you want to go have fun, but it wasn't. It was because I didn't want to be alone at home. I didn't want to like feel insignificant for being alone, if that makes sense. And so when I went to Portland, I was forced to deal with that. Forced to deal with the fact that no one here really knows me. I don't matter to anyone here, and it was a hard like truth to like kind of swallow. And it, you know, and I was kind of getting depressed. And over time, you know, I learned that's like, you know, it's you have to be okay with being alone.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the same thing when people that like they jump from one relationship to the next. It's not because they're done healing, and you know they've a lot of times because they just don't want to be alone. Yeah. Like they feel like they need somebody else to complete them. And I've learned, you know, like that's just not the case. Yeah, you have to be okay. And anyway, so then, you know, about 2 months into Portland, I was like, all right, like let me see. I was talking to two of my buddies. They used to both do security at my old job in LA. And I was talking to them, and I was just telling them, yeah, you know, Portland's cool, but like, man, I just don't have any friends. Like, this sucks. And one of them was like, yo, go do jiu-jitsu. You know, he's actually an MMA fighter, and the other one used to be. So he's like, dude, go find a jiu-jitsu academy. And then I was like, yeah, okay, maybe. And at the time, I didn't realize that you could do jiu-jitsu without the gi, like the kimono. Okay. I didn't know. So there's no gi jiu-jitsu. Yeah, fun fact for you. So I was like, bro, I hate wearing the geeks. It was uncomfortable. It was like wearing a fucking carpet. I hated I hated the gi, bro. I hated it so much. You know.
Was it heavy or your shoulders? Because you have my shoulders, bro.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, it was just like it's just like this like this just like I said, like a rug on you, bro. It's just like, 'cause, you know, it's supposed to be sturdy, because when you do grips, you mean it's got to be a sturdy, like, you know, material. Yeah. I hated wearing it. It got too hot. It was uncomfortable. But then my friend Matt was like, you know, there is no gi jiu-jitsu. That's what I do. I do 10th Planet. It's like, what the fuck is that? That was long before I knew who Eddie Bravo was or blah, blah, blah. So cool. So then so I kind of, that was the end of the conversation. And then I kind of started looking into 10th Planet. I learned about who Eddie Bravo was. And then I was like, oh, that's that guy that goes on Joe Rogan. And little by little, I started kind of watching YouTube videos and learning more about 10th Planet and Eddie Bravo. I kind of started obsessing over him a little bit. And like, and there's a famous video of him showing rubber guard, which is, you know, one of his famous like inventions. Well, he invented it, in my opinion. But he had created his own system. Like, I'm sure people have done something similar, but he made an entire system. And he was explaining the rubber guard to he was with Joe Rogan and Rickson Gracie. I don't know if you know, but he's kind of known, at least for a long time, as like the greatest like Rick Gracie to ever live. Like, yeah, he was kind of that guy that was like kind of on a god level, you know. And you know, he had a successful MMA career, and yeah. And I remember listening to Eddie and thinking like, dude, if I could love jiu-jitsu even a quarter as much as he loves jiu-jitsu, I'm gonna be a very happy person. Like, seriously. And then and then I decided, you know what? I'm gonna call. Sure enough, bro, there's a fucking 10th Planet like a mile from my house. I was like, and you know, and it's like not through like any like there was no traffic. It was like 6-minute drive every time. And so I went, and mind you, at the time, like, I felt like I didn't have any friends. I wasn't doing anything. And I called, and they're like, yeah, come on by, blah, blah, blah. There's a class tonight. Cool. So I go, and I take my first class. The instructor, his name is James Gamet. He was super wonderful. Like, he was, like, very, like, you know, he, like, catered. He knew I was new. And, like, when we did jiu-jitsu, it was awesome. Like, it wasn't, like, I felt like at home. And afterwards, I was just kind of hanging around. And I was like, hey, man, just, you know, because actually the Conor McGregor, Jose Aldo fight, I want to say was happening. Or one of the Conor McGregor fights was happening that year. And I was like, hey, bro, like, what bars do people go to, like, to watch? Because I don't know what sports bars you guys have. He's like, no, fuck all that. Come to my house. And I was like, bro, you met me an hour ago. In my head, right? Like, you know how it is in L.A. People don't do that shit in L.A. Yeah. Like, it's just, they don't have that kind of hospitality. Just like, and they're just as open like that. It just doesn't happen, really. So I went, and I remember thinking, like, damn, this is awesome. And I, you know, met some cool people. I was watching the fights. And it was the first time I ever was in a room where I felt intimidated, because like from guys to girls, from, you know, little to small or from small to big, I'm like, man, I bet you everybody here can kick my ass. You know, the male ego in me kind of was like, what the fuck? Like, this is kind of wild, but I liked it. And so yeah, so then I started training, and the rest was history, man. And then, like, you know, I had you know, at the time I was definitely dealing with some depression, dude. It was a tough time for me. It was I didn't know I'd have necessarily direction in life. but like I just knew I wanted to do jiu-jitsu, and I was just trying to figure out who I was, what I should be doing next, and luckily I met some awesome individuals along the way, and then like, dude, living in Portland changed my life completely. I mean, there's a reason I'm going back.
Yeah.
I got a tattoo. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's like it's an Oregon tree. You know what I'm saying? Like on my wrist or on my forearm, because I always told myself like, even if I never go back, I want to remember that I lived there for the rest of my life, because it was absolutely life-changing chapter.
Such a big imprint.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it changed the trajectory of my life, brother. So yeah. So then when I came back, I just kind of kept training. Luckily, I was in the gym that it just happened to start. It opened 2 weeks after I came back. So basically, it was like, it's awesome to be part of like a ground zero situation, because there's no culture or like anything because it's new. So you kind of create the culture, like you with the other people that are starting with you, and it happened to be a really healthy one, a good one. Had two amazing coaches, Eric Campello Cruz and Eric Ramey, and I've learned a lot from them. And they really lead an amazing gym. So if you're in the east side of LA, anywhere from Glendale to Arcadia to anywhere, Monty, all these places, go up to Pasadena. Take a class. Maybe not right now because things are shut down. But once things kind of get back to normal and we kind of lead a normal life, I suspect right after the election. But let's not get into that. And we get to lead a normal life again. Definitely check it out.
It's called the 10th Planet.
10th Planet. 10th Planet. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. I've been to pretty much all of them. They're all great. There's one in West LA. There's Van Nuys. There's Burbank. There's headquarters with Eddie Bravo's in downtown. There's Covina. I think there's gonna be one opening in Palmdale. So like, there's a lot. There's a lot of 10th Planets. There's a lot of jiu-jitsu academies. Like even if you don't go to a 10th Planet, like just look up jiu-jitsu and see what's near you.
And you feel that because like there's so many locations, but you feel like they're all equally like good. I don't know how you would say it. At a good level.
All gyms have all gyms have their own identity and their own vibe and their own like culture, right?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get. Yeah.
So you just gotta find what's right for you. I've been to some awesome gyms with awesome instruction with great vibes, but I just knew it wasn't for me. Mm-hmm. It's nothing to do with the gym in the sense of like I'm not knocking on it, but like you know yourself better than anyone else, and you know your personality. And I think that especially with your coaches, I mean, that's like the main person I think you kind of want to like find an instructor or a coach that you kind of relate with, that you can see yourself learning from. Like, it's important. So just give yourself a try. If it's not for you off the first class, maybe go back again with, or try a different gym and see what fits. Yeah, at least give it a shot. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe jiu-jitsu isn't for you. Maybe try Muay Thai or kickboxing or boxing. So there's, it's one of those things where you just kind of got to find, everybody eventually finds their own little tribe. And, kind of speaking on that, that's one of the main reasons I love jiu-jitsu, is because not only are you learning to like defend yourself, but you all, and doing cardio and like doing exercise, but there's also like the community aspect of jiu-jitsu. If you find a gym where it really has a true like great culture and like it just has that community feel, you just feel like you're part of this tribe. And I think that deep down inside, we all want to belong to something. Like, so honestly, like I really truly believe that. I think that's why people get so much into identity politics. It has nothing to do with the actual cause, but the feeling of being part of something. Whether it's, that's why kind of always see the jokes about vegans or CrossFit people always talking about it. Even jiu-jitsu kind of has that, right? Some jiu-jitsu people don't shut the fuck up about jiu-jitsu. But the reason why that is because they're part of this community and they want to share it with the world. And I get it. I used to talk to people during Uber. I wouldn't like bring up jiu-jitsu, but if somebody asked me, I would talk to them about it. And I used to always get like, dude, like you really love jiu-jitsu. Like, man, I want to try it just because like I love the way you're talking about it, And I'm not trying to sell you on jiu-jitsu. I'm just letting you know how much I love it. Like that's what it comes down to. Like it's changed my life. I met some individuals that like absolutely changed who I am today and made me a better person. Like there's just no arguing, and it's hard at first. Some people are more natural than others, but it's hard. Everybody struggles as a white belt. Everybody struggles because people are better than you. Especially if you have like an ego, like you're gonna have to deal with people that are smaller than you. Maybe you're a guy, and dude, I remember I rode with one of she didn't train there, but she would train there from time to time, and she fucking armbarred me like so many times, and I was so stoked, dude. I was just like, me being a fresh white belt, I was like, this is amazing. Like this is nuts. Like the technique that she was implementing on me, and I just like love it. And you know, and it's hard at first, dude, but you know what? But then you start getting those little wins, you know. Maybe at first it's super frustrating. You don't know how to do anything. You don't know how to do any of the movements. Everything's awkward. People are better than you. But little by little, you start learning. And the white belt curve is real. Like, and what I mean by that is that your learning curve is kind of like a kid. You know how a kid can, like, learn like this?
Yeah.
As a white belt, like, it's like this. Eventually, you hit plateaus, right? And then you got to go back up. And, you know, and then, you know, you deal with that as the years go by. But it's one of those things where doesn't matter, you know, your status, how much money you have, how much money you don't have, employed, unemployed, married, divorced. None of that matters on the mat. On the mat, you get what you put in.
Right.
There's no shortcuts. Doesn't matter. You can have, like I said, you can have it all or have none, and you know, and that won't influence your jiu-jitsu at all. And there's something about earning your stripes and really, you know, and earning the next belt level and just like getting better. That's just like amazing because you know you earned it. It's just one of those things that there's no cheat codes. There's no shortcuts. You have to do this to get better. And that's why people like go in, day out, man. And here, you know, and one day you'll be like me, 4 years later, 4.5 years later, like, damn, dude, I can't believe I've been training that long, you know? But yeah, dude, it's just changed my life, you know? It really has.
And ever since you started, have you been into any fights, altercations outside? Or, like...
No, absolutely. Okay, so the reason I even brought this up was because, you know, we're talking about like, you know, I think you talk about your wife getting in altercations or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, you kind of like have like because you know sometimes it's kind of an arrogant thing to think, but I think it's better than actually taking action. Sometimes you think like, dude, I can kick this guy's ass, so I'm just not gonna bother. Right. It really it's like an MMA fighter. Like if you see like a UFC guy, you want to get tough with a UFC guy, you know. He doesn't have anything to prove, right? He probably most likely can beat up 99.9% of the population if they want to, but that person probably won't because, you know, all the consequences that would happen if that happened, right? So it's kind of the same thing where it's like, as you like learn to like, as you realize that there are always gonna be people out there that can fuck you up, you stop trying to kind of have this like, oh, like you know, I'm gonna fuck you up mentality or like, you know, I don't know. That's just my take. I mean, I am a hothead for sure, but I'm a hothead for like not physical like altercation, more like just kind of like talk shit. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference. You know, I'm not I'll never be one of those guys that's like, come on, like hold me back, like let's like I don't, you know.
No, so, yeah, for me it's it's more physical altercation because like I've broken somebody's hand, I've actually cracked somebody's skull. Yeah. And it's like I don't want to fucking I don't know, end up in jail for killing somebody for like some stupid shit. And it's always either self-defense or something, but my mentality is like, you don't know if you're gonna fucking come out alive, so you better fucking take care of business. If you're gonna get in, you better knock this person out or something. Yeah. And I'd rather just not get into that situation. For sure. And like you said, you never know. That other fucking person can be way better than you. He might be smaller than me or whatever, bigger, but you just don't know who the fuck that person is.
Dude, and let me tell you, some of the most lethal jiu-jitsu people I've met, probably striking too, they don't look the part. Yeah. They do not look the part. It's that guy that, you know, looks like he could be a assistant manager at Staples or some shit. You're just like, they do not look the part, man. And they can do some damage if they choose to. And, you know, but a lot of times, man, like especially if you're in a gym that doesn't have like kind of the MMA, like, because your MMA's, you have to have ego, you have to have that like intensity. So those are hard gyms sometimes to be part of if you're not into like that kind of shit, right? But if you go to just a traditional jiu-jitsu academy, like people will have egos, of course. Things can get heated here and there, but it's so minimal. Like at the end of the day, like everybody's just there to learn, to get better, and honestly to just kind of get tighter as a community. And like everybody's there for their own reasons, you know. And
sounds like there's a great support system.
For sure, man. Like, and if you have an ego, if you think that, like, you know, you kind of one of those guys that's like, you know, fucking try me, like, and you don't know nothing about the other guy, you don't know what he's capable of, put yourself in a situation where you actually go up against someone that's, like, knows what they're doing. Yeah. Go to a jiu-jitsu academy. Like, go roll with a purple belt that's half your size. They'll fuck you up. And it sucks. It hurts the ego. That's a good thing. Get rid of it. You know, like, I think you have to have a little bit of ego to succeed in life. Like, if you have no ego, then, you know, I think that, you know, you'll probably lack drive to some degree, but you just have to have a healthy amount of it, you know.
Be balanced.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, I still feel sometimes like, you know, there are definitely days where like some gun that has no business tapping me out taps me out, submits me, and it's just like, I've gotten a million times better about it. So like sometimes now when that happens, it's really never a big deal. But every once in a while, I'll still get that competitive drive in me. It's like I want to fucking lose to this person, But that's like healthy. That's just like basketball, That's just like or like anything else. It's like you just want to win,
Right.
Because and there's nothing wrong with wanting to win, like having a winner's mentality. Never apologize for that. Don't feel bad for having that. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna alienate people sometimes because that's the thing. Like the people that like that knock you for that or hate you for it or whatever, they have their own insecurities and issues to deal with. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things. Like even with Pokemon recently, bro. Okay, so this new set that came out, Darkness Ablaze, right? I was able to get it a little bit sooner than even the pre-release, so most people didn't have it. So I was charging a premium. I paid a premium for the boxes, and I was also charging a premium because I want to make some profit.
Yeah.
And I got reported like 2 or 3 times on OfferUp and on one of the groups, the Facebook groups I was in. Because why? Why someone reported me? Because they're mad that like I have this product before they can. This has nothing to do with them. If you don't want it, then don't get it. But I just know that they're salty that.
And they and they took you down your.
Yeah, my OfferUp it didn't get erased, but I got shadow banned, which means you can't see my profile, and if I can still look through OfferUp, but if I send you a message on one of your things you're selling, you won't see the message.
Wow.
So, but it's just it comes. People are hating, bro, and it's just one of those things where I just don't understand, and it's one of those things where those are people with insecurities. The victim mentality of like, fuck this guy for having more than me or having this. Like, dude, get rid of that shit. Create your own destiny and like just push through. Like do what you got to do to get where you want to be.
Yeah.
Trust me. I look at jiu-jitsu. I look at certain guys that have certain abilities and can do certain things, and it's like I know what I have to do to get to that level. I just haven't. So I'm very aware of, especially with like losing weight, because jiu-jitsu is a lot easier when you don't have a big belly. That's what it comes down to. It just is, So it's one of those things where I really believe you just got to take ownership for, your mishaps and your shortcomings, and just like you got to just persevere through,
Yeah.
Like I definitely, sometimes I'll roll with different white belts or blue belts. So like, I'm a blue belt as well, but I've been a blue belt for a little bit. That like really like get mad when I fuck them up a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, like I've been doing this for 3 times a long. I've been doing this for 4 years while you've been doing it for a year and 2 months. Like, I get it. It's normal because you can use that drive, that motivation to get better.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also, I don't know. You kind of got to respect other people's like. I've learned to respect other people's like their journey.
Okay.
It's just kind of one of those things. Like if you've been boxing for 4 years and I've been boxing for 3 months and I get mad that you beat me up, I'm not gonna get mad. Like, dude, you earned it. You earned the right to be that good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, just with anything, I think that you just gotta if you want to achieve something, just fucking go for it.
Yeah, and then also, I mean, I think that's the best way to to learn. You gotta get that beating, man.
You have to, man. I mean, that's. You're not going to have a perfect jiu-jitsu day every single time. I would argue that most of the time you don't.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, most days are like normal, like solid jiu-jitsu day. You have good days and you have some bad ones.
Yeah.
So am I gonna stop doing jiu-jitsu because I have some bad ones? Like I saw like a quote that I loved. It was like about a child doesn't stop trying to walk because they keep falling. No, they're gonna keep on doing it until they can walk. It's the same thing. If you haven't, don't think about all the time. Like for me, like. I've gone up and down in weight for years, man. I've gone as low. I've hit those marks where I lose 15 pounds. I lose 25 pounds. I've lost even 35 pounds, and then I gain it back up. So am I just done? Am I done trying to lose weight? Like no, I don't. I know what I have to do, and it just comes down with me doing it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm not gonna stop because I didn't do it like as much as I wanted to or maintained it. So it's like with anything, man. You just gotta keep going. Like this Pokemon thing. I know, like of course, a part of me had no idea this is gonna work out, and there are things out of my control, like the market. What happens if the economy goes into depression? All these different things like that can happen. Like, but it's like, but no, I don't care. Like I'm gonna just do it, and if that happens, then I'll deal with it.
Yeah.
It's what it comes down to.
And I always say this, like, just don't worry about things that are not out of your control.
For sure.
Cannot worry about those type of things.
Dude, my dad has one of the best quotes ever when I was young. Not even young, like in high school. And he told me, I forgot what I was worrying about. I had no idea, but he was just kind of like, hey, if a problem has a solution, why worry? And if it doesn't, why worry? And it just kind of like hit me, bro. To this day, like I think about that, like that's so fucking true. If it has a solution, fine. If you have to have a little bit of a pity party for yourself, or you have to get to that moment of like soaking, do it. Yeah. But don't live in that. You know what I'm saying? Just have that moment and then just push through. And if something can't be fixed, you fuck that up. Then you just then you gotta figure out how to move on. You don't just live in the past. You know, and so many people like they'll shortchange themselves because they just never move past.
Yeah. No, yeah, for me, we were talking earlier. It took. I remember saying, "Oh, I'm gonna get this podcast going already." Yeah. And I had my date and everything, and then my shipment comes in, try to put everything together, and I couldn't figure it out. It took me a month. I had to get 3 friends and also a sound engineer in here, just to finally figure it out. Yeah. But, I could have easily been like, fuck this, I'm done. Like this is too complicated. But nah, you push through, and that was the best feeling too. Like fuck it, like
that's like, right. You earned it. Yeah. You earned it, bro. You absolutely earned it, and that's what. And I feel like those moments in life truly make you the person that you're gonna be. Yeah. It's like it's how it's both. It's about how you react with failure and with success.
And it applies to everything in life. Yeah. All right, let me tell you a little about my wife. My wife, she rejected me at least 5 times. At least. At least 5 times.
She made the right call, though.
Man, so, some people will be like, that guy's a stalker or something. But, like, no, like, I just knew, this was the girl for me. And And I stick with it. She told me, she's like, I just thought you were a player, so that's why I always rejected you. Yeah. I was like, well, I'm not a player. Yeah.
You just crush a lot.
Yeah, I just crush a lot.
Big pun reference for y'all.
And eventually, I was able to go on a date with her and everything, and now we're married. And
look at you.
I said I could have quit that first, second, third, fourth time, but I didn't quit, and now I'm married to her. And like I said, that you can't quit. That applies to everything in life, in relationships. Even your parents, sometimes you have those differences. Mm-hmm. Work, your career, and Jiu Jitsu. Yeah. You can't quit. You just gotta keep pushing, and eventually you will figure it out.
For sure, man. I mean, one of the best things about kind of being quarantined a little bit and just living at home is that. So my brother, he's into like life insurance and retirement funds and credit repair, that kind of stuff, and just finance, right? And he's working from home, right? For the last few weeks, and I've really witnessed him, like how much work he puts in. It's fucking staggering. Like I knew his work ethic. He used to play basketball, so he went to college for basketball, and I watched him. He wasn't blessed with like the height. He wasn't blessed with the athleticism, but my brother Bruno, he really he just worked his ass off, bro. He worked harder than everyone in the room. It's just what it was. He's one of those guys. And I always admire that about him. Sometimes he can be a dick, and I think some people saw him a certain way, but like I knew that side of him, And now watching him do the same thing with his business, it really is inspiring. Like I like to give him a lot of shit and talk shit to him, just keep him humble a little bit, but I really am like super proud of him, And this month he was telling me he hit a pretty big mark with how much money he made this month. Like and I was super proud, I was just kind of like, damn, dude, like it was working for him. And I remember like, he got a lot of heat even for me for like dropping out of college and wanting to do this. And my mom was like, no, like you're not going to drop out of college. Like you're going to go to college and then find a job. My brother's like, no, like I'm not going to do it. Like this is what I want to do. And yeah, dude. And here we are, like, 2 years later, and he's probably already making more money than I ever will make. You know what I'm saying? And in 5 years, like he's gonna be the one that retires my parents. Love my parents, but and I care for them in a lot of different ways by like doing favors and like and like being like present in that regard. Right. But like when we're talking financially, my brother's gonna be the reason why they get to retire comfortably, for sure. And it's okay. Like I don't, what I'm saying? Like I'm proud of him, and he's it's just one of those things where like I get motivated just watching him do put in that work, and it's funny because he always like shits on me because I'm always like with Pokemon cards. Still to him it's just like I know he knows that I can make money off it, but he's just like talking shit. Right. But it's so we kind of bag on each other with that. But yeah, man, it's just like it's interesting when you surround yourself with the right people, with the people that like believe in you, like how. Like just how much further you can go. Yeah. But I think you do need your naysayers because it will test you. Like if you're one of those people that if someone that's close to you doesn't believe in something, like, and you fail, like, good, because you were gonna fail the moment someone else you didn't know wasn't not believing you as well. So it's just one of those things where sometimes I feel we need a little bit of that negativity to kind of fuel us, and kind of that, like, let me prove you wrong, like, thing. So yeah, dude,
no, keep going at it, man, because
thanks,
I
bro.
really, like,
Yeah.
I really do, like, especially like everything you explained to me, like, and it all comes back to that. Just as long as you don't quit, you will eventually get to where you want to be. And like I said, the 90s make a comeback, and just the older we get, the more the value is gonna go of those cards and everything. So I really do think you're gonna do great.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Yeah. If I can just tell the listeners, if you have an old Pokemon card collection sitting at home, you get at me, and I can price it out for you and offer you a fair price, or help you sell it. For anyone that has, like, something tucked away at home, you may be sitting on thousands of dollars like I was. So you never know.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah. And all right, before we wrap it up, anything you want to promote, or anything you want to maybe take your brother's stuff, or
So like I said, if you got Pokemon cards, you have Pokemon questions, please reach out to me, PokePobs. My regular Instagram is also _PABS_Pobs. My brother, like I said, he's into insurance. So if you need help with finding life insurance, or having starting to save up for the future, because look, I think that's one of the most thought things ever, and that's your retirement. I get real sad when I see older people work probably out of necessity, and it really really breaks my heart, dude. Like, and it's one of those things where hopefully you don't want to end up in that situation, or you don't want to put your kids put a burden on your kids to take care of you. So if you're looking to set up a retirement account of sorts, or have just life insurance in case something happens, or in case you get injured for life, whatever the case is, hit me up, and I'll contact you with my brother. He's found me a great way for me to save for the future and insure myself. And he also works with credit repair. So if you have like a shitty credit, they work magic out there. Him and the group that he works with, they do some magic, bro. I've seen people's score go from 580 to 740 in like a matter of months, bro. So it's definitely worth the investment. They'll take out most of your your delinquent debt, or whatever the case is. But yeah, so if you wanna, if you're into any of that, please hit me up directly. I'm super friendly if you have any questions. But yeah, other than that, no, just hopefully everybody's being staying safe out there. I know things are weird. Just wear the mask a little bit. And and hopefully we get through this. I know we will. And yeah, that's pretty much everything.
And then Portland, get ready for Pablo. He's coming. So.
Dude, I cannot wait, dude. Like, dude, I already have a few Portland friends that are so stoked for me to go there. So I am looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to floating, to training, to run. I love running in Portland because everything is green and beautiful. Man, I can't wait. I can't wait to go hiking. Dude, it's going to be a good time. So, yes, Portland, get ready for me. Because your boys, if you hear this before, I wasn't really announcing it to anyone. But, yeah, I'm coming back in about less than 2 weeks. So,
heard it here first.
I know, right? All right, y'all.
All right, guys. Well, thank you. Hope you enjoyed. Also, subscribe, hit the like button, share. Any recommendations, anything you guys want us to do, cover, talk about, let us know. Leave a comment. And thank you, Pablo.
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you much for having me. Yeah. This was fun.
It was great, and I wish you the best. And
thanks, man.
With your move, with your cards, I know you'll do great, man. Just keep.
I appreciate you, bro, and same to you, man. I know you buy that house, and you'll find that what you're looking for, man.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, guys. Have a good one.